Welcome to Old Fashioned Southern Cooking. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hey guys, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Today I wanted to show you guys how I prepare my turkey for Christmas. I know most people have a ham on Christmas. Sometimes we do, but we don't do it very often because we like turkey better than we do the ham. So today I'm just going to show you how I prepare my turkey to be put into the oven, but I'm not going to be putting it into the oven right away. I just want to get it prepared so it can sit and kind of marinate with all the butter that I'm going to put on it and a little bit of seasoning. That way later on tonight, that's when I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it so it will be ready for Christmas. So anyway, guys, let me get you in the kitchen and let me show you how I do mine. Okay, guys, let me show you how I prepare our turkey before we put it in the oven. And like I said, I'm going to let it marinate for a little bit because I'm not going to put this in until later on tonight, okay? But I'm just going to show you how I do it. But first of all, I have a young turkey here that I bought. Now, normally I would have a lot bigger turkey than this one, and this one's close to 14 pounds. But normally, I usually always try to get about a 20-pound turkey. But when I went back to the store to get one of these, because they had them on sale for like 33 cents a pound, when I went back to get me another one, I wasn't able to get the 20-pound because a lot of them was picked over, and it was later in the evening, and I couldn't find anybody to get me one out of the back like I normally do when I ask for a 20-pound. That's what they usually do, is go in the back and get me a real big one out, because sometimes they don't always have the big ones laying out there. I don't know why. And I've got my big roaster pan here, and then we're going to use some foil. We're going to line our turkey roaster pan with some foil, and then I just use some butter, and I don't know that I'll use all this, but I may, because I really like to butter up my turkeys. It just makes them so good. So we're going to use some butter, right about 2 sticks of butter. And I just use a little bit of the black pepper. I don't use a whole lot, but just a little bit. And then I use some of the garlic powder, and I use some of the onion powder, okay? And that's about all I do, or that's about all I use when I marinate my turkeys before I put them in the oven, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get y'all over here, and I'm going to show you how I get all this done. So give me just a minute. Okay, guys, here we go. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kitchen scissors I have here. And, well, first of all, I want to show y'all. I've got me a couple clean hand towels. These are pretty old hand towels, but they are clean. I always have them out. And I also use some of the disinfecting sanitizing wipes for certain things. But I have me a pot of my palm olive antibacterial with a little bleach and a pot of water over here. And I always sanitize everything before, and I definitely sanitize everything after. You want to be really careful about that when you're preparing a turkey, or actually any meat. You want to always be careful about that. So anyway, what we're going to do, though, is I'm going to be putting this down in my sink. And I'm going to get out everything in at the neck and the gizzards and all that out of it here in just a few minutes. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to take the turkey out, and it is unthawed now. And I'm going to set it to the side, okay? And then what I do is I take my roaster pan, and I like to rinse it out first. So let me do that. Okay. So what I do is I take my roaster pan, okay, and I clean this out really good. And even though we're going to be putting foil in it, I always still clean my roaster pan out. And I just like to line my roaster pan, and it's seen its better days. But I'm going to tell you, I've had this thing for so many years, y'all. And it has been the best turkey, a roaster pan that I think I've ever could have gotten. I really need to get me a new one, but hey, this one still works. I take a little bit of the cooking spray and I spray the inside of my roaster pan. And the reason, and around the edges, the reason I spray my roaster pan with the canola oil cooking spray is because it helps the foil to stick down in here a lot better. But I do take me a little paper towel and I kind of run around a little bit, making sure I didn't miss anywhere. And I'm not wiping it out. I'm just barely even running around on the inside of it. Now that we've got that done, now what I do is I take me some aluminum foil. This is heavy duty foil. Now if you don't have any heavy duty foil, don't worry about it. Just you may have to line it a couple times just to make sure that you have your roaster pan lined very well. But normally it works pretty good. There's been times before that I haven't had heavy duty foil and I've just used regular in mine and it did fine. So, but what I do is I take me a sheet of this out, and what I do is I just line it just like this, and I push this down in there first, and just spread it out all over your roaster pan. You have to kind of hold it in there as you do it. Kind of get those edges over and under it a little bit if it'll go. And push it down around the corners down here, the edges of your pan, and around the sides. Okay, so we have our roaster pan lined with our foil, okay? But what I do is I take me about a half a stick of butter, and I just sort of take it and I coat the bottom of my foil with it inside of my pan. Now, it doesn't always, you just have to kind of watch when you do it with your foil in there, because this will move because we got extra pieces. But just get you some butter down in there, one way or the other. Get you some butter down in there, and get your pan good and coated with your butter, okay, around the sides and everywhere. Okay, guys, so we've got our roaster pan buttered really good. As you can see with butter, I got the edges all buttered really well, and that's how you want it. You want to make sure you get that really, really good in there, okay? And you might want to take your rings off before you do your buttering and keep them off, you know, during this whole process of doing your turkey and everything, okay? So anyway, we've got it buttered. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to set my roaster pan to the side because we're not going to need it just yet. And I'm going to put my foil over here too because we're not going to need it just yet. So let's set this to the side. So now what I'm going to do, my counters and everything's been cleaned. I am going to take me some butter. I'm going to take one stick of butter. I want to go ahead and do this first before I start handling my turkey. And what you want to do, I always cut my butter into chunks because we're going to melt this in the microwave. So just cut your butter into chunk-sized pieces, one stick, because it will help it melt a lot easier in the microwave. So we're going to do that, and I think what I'm going to do, y'all, I told you a couple sticks, but I used half of one for butter in my roaster pan, but I'm going to take this other half, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it up and put it in here, because the more butter on your turkey, the better you are. And I just want to get rid of this too. So what we're going to do is we are going to put this in the microwave and we're going to melt it. So it's a stick and a half of butter. And we use the Imperial. That's just the kind we like. But you can use any kind that you want to. So let me go melt this butter and I'll be back and then I'll show you how to do this. Okay guys, so I got the butter melted, a stick and a half. And I'm just going to finish whisking this in together, okay? For your seasonings, this is what I do. I normally do not measure them, but I'll try to do that for y'all. But like for the black pepper, I'm not going to use very much of it, but I add it to my butter. That way we can pour it over top of our turkey, kind of like a marinade. butter marinade. But this is a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm not going to even use a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to use right about maybe half of that, maybe not even quite half, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon or a little less than that, because I don't want it to be hot, you know. So we're not even going to use that much. So we're going to use just a little bit, I'd say a pinch, okay, of black pepper. And that's all I'm going to put in there. So we're going to just kind of whisk that black pepper. We're going to go ahead and whisk it in now, okay. Sometimes I like to just whisk my seasonings in one by one. And then the onion powder, we're only going to add right about, let's go ahead and do 1/4 of a teaspoon of that, okay? Just give it some good flavor. Okay, so there's a 1/4 teaspoon of the onion powder, and just go ahead and whisk it in as well. That way they all get whisked in with that butter evenly. Okay, now we're going to use some of the garlic powder. And I think I'll use, well, this is a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder in there. Because see, I've got a 14-pound turkey. And it probably could stand a little bit more. But I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. So a pinch of black pepper. A 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. And right about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. I might have went over it just a little bit. But that's okay. And whisk all those seasonings in with your butter really good, okay? We are going to take our butter with our seasonings, and we're going to set this to the side because we're not going to need it just yet. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take our turkey, and I'm going to set it down into my sink. And then we'll go ahead and open it up, and then I'll show you how I do my turkey, okay? So give me just a minute. Okay, guys, here we go. Alrighty, so I'm going to take my scissors, my kitchen scissors, and I'm going to take this netting that they have on here. I'm going to take it off, okay? So, start right here, and we'll just take it off. Set it. Okay. Get them little pieces out of my sink. I don't want it to go down my drain. But they have these turkeys, y'all, for 33 cents a pound, and I only paid $4.60 for that turkey. And that's a wonderful deal. I always move my faucet out of the way when I do this. And then I just open it up. Now, there might be a little bit of ice still in this, but I'm not expecting there to be a whole lot, but there might be some. So you just open your turkey up in your sink. And I always clean the sink out before I do this. And then, now that I'm done with my scissors, I put them into my bleach water with my palm olive. So I don't think we'll need them again. Now, a lot of juice is going to start coming out. That's why I do this in my sink, okay? It's just the best way to do it. Some people don't do it that way. They don't think it's a good way. But for me, that's just how I've always done it, y'all. And I'm not going to touch my sink handles. I'm going to try to use it by my wrist. I like to kind of rinse my bag out a little bit before I put it in my trash. That way I'm not dripping anything anywhere. But I've got my trash can sitting right over here beside me. That way I can get it in there and I'll just sort of wring it out. That way I don't drip no turkey juices or anything anywhere. There we go. We got it in there. This one has a pop-up timer. I don't go by those pop-up timers. Some people do, but I just prefer to use my own digital thermometer to tell me the internal temperature of the turkey. So what I'm going to do is you always have this little plastic thing down here at the end which keeps the legs together, and that doesn't hurt. You can put that in the oven. It doesn't hurt anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that off for now. Really wasn't on there really good. And it is still a little frozen, guys. So if it's like that, I thought it would be unthawed by now, but it's not. So when it's like that, what you got to do is sometimes you can loosen it up, or you can run you some cold water. And I got a paper towel laying over here just for this reason. I'm going to turn me some cold water on, okay? Move my faucet over here without touching it. And then I just run some cold water in it, just like this, to help melt some of that ice. I don't use warm water to do it with. I just use the cold, and it will eventually pop loose, okay? You'll see here in just a minute what I'm talking about. It will come loose. And sometimes you just got to pry it. That's just the way it is. But your hand's going to get cold now, I'll tell you. So just let that water run down in there like that, and that'll help kind of loosen that ice up a little bit. Okay? This is your heart and your gizzards and all of that they always put in a bag in there. I don't ever use those. I have in the past for dressing, but not anymore. I just don't fool with it. But they can make a good gravy. So if you want to save them, you can, but we're not going to right now, this time. So I'm just going to toss them away as well. Then there's a big ice chunk. Now, we've got to get the neck out of here, y'all, and it might be frozen. I don't know. We'll see. I thought I had done thawed this long enough, but it's not. But that's okay. It's coming out all right. So I just tilt my turkey up like that and run that water down in there. Let me turn some more pressure on without touching my handles. I just kind of hold on to the legs like this and just let it run down through there. And it's good to really do that to kind of rinse your turkey out a little bit too. See, that's come loose pretty good. And we're just going to pull the neck out. And right here is your neck of your turkey, okay? It will usually come right out unless it's just solid, unless it's just completely frozen and you haven't unthawed it. It'd be hard to get out. So I would definitely unthaw them enough to where you can pull it out like I did. Now, that's all you're going to need to get out of your turkey. There's nothing else in there you're going to need to get out. There is some ice chunks, and I'm going to pull them out. But we're just going to rinse it. Now that I've got most of those ice chunks out, we're just going to rinse it real good. And I pull my wings apart down here like this, and I rinse in there. I rinse it in the back here a little bit. This is probably froze as well, so I flip it over. And then I rinse it out on this side, this end, where the neck is. This is the top of the turkey where the neck went right in here. Okay? And some people cut this big piece of fat off here. I don't, because I think it helps when you're marinating your turkey or you put your butter in there. I think it helps to tuck it back down in there to keep your butters and stuff in there pretty good. I mean, they're still going to come out some, but that's all right. So just pull your wings apart and rinse all that off, okay, on each wing, on each side, like that. Rinse the top of your turkey off, just kind of rubbing a little bit. My hands are getting really cold, but we're almost done. And then rinse your turkey legs off as well. Just rub them, kind of rinse them. And go ahead and rinse the inside out again as well. Now what you want to do, if you can get a hold of that fat back there and get underneath it, move my faucet over again, pick it up and drain all that extra water out there, okay, and let it drip. So I would do this for a minute just to let it get that water out. So I'm just going to hold it up like that, and we're going to let that water drain down. So I take me some paper towels, y'all, okay, like this, and I put over it like that, and I just daub it off with some paper towels. You're going to need several, because I want to kind of get it a little drier, so when we put our butter on there, our butter will go on there better. Okay, and just dry your legs off just like this, and you may have to get some more paper towels to do it. It does take a few paper towels. And then I kind of get inside there as well sometimes and stick my paper towel in there like this, and just kind of daub it in there, but of course it's going to be pretty wet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the paper towel that I had, and I'm going to get another paper towel. That way I don't contaminate my roll. And I'm going to get another one. I'm going to fold it in half just like this. I'm going to lay it down over here on my counter, and I'm going to get a few more, okay? So I'm not contaminating my roll of my paper towels. And I'm going to lay out another few of those. And then I'm going to take my turkey. I'm going to pick it up. And we are going to transfer this over here to the sink. But we're going to do this very carefully to make sure that we do not drop anything, any juices. So what I'm going to do, I have a pot of water over here. And I'm going to wash my hands off with my antibacterial water and my bleach. Just so I can get a hold of something that I need, because I want to move my turkey over here without dripping anything when I do it. But sometimes just pulling it up like that and transferring over, sometimes you will drip things that you may not even see that you dripped. So now that my hands have been sanitized, I'm going to get me a cookie sheet. Okay. We'll pick it up. Go see the water that will still run out of them. Y'all can see that dripping down. There's still quite a bit of water in there. So we need to let that run down a minute, y'all. I'm going to transfer that over to my cookie sheet, but I'm going to have to wash my hands again. Okay, y'all know I put the turkey on the cookie sheet, so now I'm going to transfer it over to this paper towel because we need to go ahead and finish drying this. And then, like I said, I always have to clean my counters. You'll have to definitely do that and sanitize things. But just keep it on the paper towel. Take you another one and dry it off really good, okay? I do go through some paper towels when I'm drying my turkeys. But I want my butter to stick on there very well. So I try to make sure that I dry them off really, really good. Make sure you don't leave no paper towel in there now, y'all. Could be easy to do. It could stick back in there and you not see it. So we've got our turkey. I just transferred it back over into the roaster pan and I made sure everything was sanitary and all that when I did it. Okay. Always want to make sure you do that. I'm going to give our butter and our seasoning mixture that we made up a little bit ago, I'm going to give it a stir because it settles, okay? I just like to make mine up ahead of time. That way, if it is a little warm, it can cool off. All right, so I told y'all this little plastic piece here is to hold the legs together. We're going to put the legs back in that. Well, maybe I should have probably left them off, but let's go ahead and put them back in there for right now. So just basically just pop them back in there is all you got to do. It's not hard to put them back in there to kind of hold them legs in together, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take our butter mixture that we made up and we are going to pour it all over our turkey because we're going to take the other stick of butter and we'll cut it up. We're going to put it inside. So you can take a basting brush and put your brush in there and just kind of start basting it like this if you want to with butter. Do that. You can do that first if you want to. It is kind of helpful to do that. Just kind of brush the legs and everything with butter, and it'll help them brown too. So just make sure all of it's basted good with some butter first. All right, guys, here we go with our butter. We're just going to pour this. And then you're going to take your other stick of your butter, and this is about room temperature, okay? And we're just going to start cutting it off into chunk-sized pieces, right? And I'm going to just throw some up under there. I'm going to get another one. And I'm going to throw it in there, guys. Just throw it inside your turkey. Because this will really help it. It'll be buttery, it'd be just like a butterball. And then this piece here, I like to take it, cut it into smaller pats of butter. I don't lose them here. And you may have to cut this open a little bit, or you can use your hand. Sometimes I can use my hand and pull the skin up a little bit underneath here, right? On each side, just kind of pull it up a little bit. Don't dig in there really hard. Just pull it up like this. Okay, just enough to get some butter in there. And we're going to put this pat of butter, we're going to stick it right down in the side of there. Push it down a little bit, and then we're going to take this other pat of butter, so save you a couple pats, to just put up and underneath the skin of your turkey. And I'm telling you, it will be absolutely delicious like this. Let me wash my hands. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this in I'm going to put some foil on top of it. And I'm going to set it back in the refrigerator until it's time to bake it. And I bake my turkeys on 325 degrees. And I usually, for about a 14-pound turkey, you know, most of the directions say 4.5, 5 hours. That's not quite long enough for me, y'all. I usually bake my 14-pound turkeys right about 6.5 hours. That's just me. I like to make sure they're good and done, but I don't you don't want to over bake them because then they will become dry. So you don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to get our foil and we're going to cover it. But right before I put it in, I'm going to put some water. And I usually put, I don't know, right about half of water in this roaster pan. So I usually put about maybe about that much water in there, because you don't want to put too much because it will overflow in your oven and it could cause a fire. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some foil on here. I use a pretty good size sheet because I don't know, my roaster lid would probably work, but like I said, I like to cover them. So just cover them up like this and just bring your foil around and underneath the handles. Okay. You can always get into it if needed. You can always undo it. Then I take me another sheet. I make sure it's completely covered. Bring it over top of that. Push that under the handles a little so I can get to the handles to get it in and out of the oven. So you're going to have to push it up under there as best you can. And then I just start squishing it up underneath there and around the roaster pan. Just like that. Sometimes it's a little hard to get under there, but it's manageable. And just squeeze it up under there, y'all. And then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator a little bit later. I'm going to put it in the oven and I'm going to bake it. And we're going to have us a marinated fresh turkey. Buttery with some seasonings, and it's going to be delicious. So anyway, guys, that's how I do my turkey. It's very easy to do, and it doesn't take too long. And I hope if somebody out there didn't know how to do it, I hope I've helped you learn how to prepare your turkey. And like I said, 325 degrees for a 14-pound turkey. I usually bake mine anywhere between 6.5 hours just to make sure it is done. And so anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you don't mind to go over to Facebook and like and follow and share my video, I would greatly appreciate it. If you don't mind to head over to YouTube and like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. So anyway, y'all, when the turkey gets done, I'll be sure to put a photo in with this video so y'all can see how it turned out. And I know it's going to be delicious. So anyway, y'all, you guys always remember to stay safe and keep God in your heart and God in your life. Bye. As always, thanks for watching Old-Fashioned Southern Cooking. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share.